And then he died. He did not know he was dead. I would lie by him in the dark, hearing the dark land talking of God's love and his beauty and his sin, hearing the dark voicelessness in which the words are the deeds, and the other words that are not deeds, that are just the gaps in people's lacks, coming down like the cries of the geese out of the wild darkness, in the old terrible nights, fumbling at the deeds like orphans to whom are pointed out in a crowd 2 faces and told, "That is your father, your mother." I believed that I had found it. I believed that the reason was the duty to the alive, to the terrible blood, the red bitter flood boiling through the land. I would think of sin as I would think of the clothes we both wore in the world's face, of the circumspection necessary because he was he and I was I. The sin the more utter and terrible since he was the instrument ordained by God who created the sin, to sanctify that sin he had created. While I waited for him in the woods, waiting for him before he saw me, I would think of him as dressed in sin. I would think of him as thinking of me as dressed also in sin, he the more beautiful since the garment which he had exchanged for sin was sanctified. I would think of the sin as the garments which we would remove in order to shape and course the terrible blood to forlorn the echo of the dead word high in the air. And then I would lay with ants again. I did not lie to him, I just refused, just as I refused my breast to Cash and Darl after their time was up, hearing the dark land talking the voiceless speech. I hid nothing. I tried to deceive no one. I would not have cared. I merely took the precautions that he thought necessary for his sake, not for my safety, but just as I wore clothes in the world's face. And I would think then, when Cora talked to me of how high dead words in time seemed to lose even the significance of their dead sound. Then it was over. Over in a sense that he was gone, and I knew that. See him again though I would never see him coming swift and secret to me in the woods, dressed in sin like a gallant garment, already blowing aside with the speed of his secret coming. But for me it was not over. I mean, over in a sense of beginning and ending. Because to me there was no beginning nor ending to anything then. I even held Anne's refraining still. Not that I was holding him recessional, but as though nothing else had ever been. My children were of me alone, of the wild blood boiling along the earth, of me and of all that lived. None and of all. And then I found that I had Jewel. When I waked to discover it, he was 2 months gone.